Welcome to Get Heavy Podcast. Thanks for tuning in. Good morning, good evening, good afternoon, whatever it is. Quick couple things before we get started. Check out the Patreon, patreon.com/Get Heavy Podcast. $1 a month gets you in the door. Early access to episodes and bonus content. Rate, subscribe, follow, and review the podcast on all audio outlets. It really does help. Check out the YouTube. Hit that notifications bell, subscribe button. Doesn't mean shit to you, but it means a lot to me. And check out the merch, localshop.com/Get Heavy Podcast. We got new merch dropping soon. I appreciate everyone that supported so far. Also, go ahead and give us a call on the Get Heavy Hotline, 805-666-2314. And you can leave your weird story, message, answer the question of the week, rates, reviews, fucked up shit, send your memes, texts, voicemails, whatever you want. Know that it will maybe used on the podcast if it is good. Having said all that, enjoy the episode. Get Heavy Podcast, hosted by Craig Gonzalez. Yeah, they're coming. Yeah. Anyway, welcome to the podcast, man.
Yeah, thanks.
I appreciate you coming on.
Are we on now?
We're on. We're recording. I just fucking I do all this and then I mix it down and do the whole thing. You know what I mean?
Right on. Yeah.
But fuck yeah, I appreciate you coming on, man.
Yeah.
I just wanted to and Jay.
Yes.
Yes.
Hey.
Thanks for coming back, dude.
Yeah. I'm here.
Fucking Jay's gonna be joining me a little more often, I think.
Yep. He needed some more of the get heavy part.
That's right. I was handling the get. I was a little light on the heavy.
He needs some more heavy. So he brings us to him.
Yeah, there you go. Yeah, we're probably a gross combined weight of something awesome right now.
Yeah, a lot of sexy is what that is.
That's right.
Yeah.
It's a lot of thrust.
Shit. Hell yeah. Man, I still work out on my hip thrust.
Do you?
Yeah, well, one or two. And then usually my back starts hurting. My
two
knee
pumper
gives out, one of the two.
Yeah, but we found out last week all we got to do is tweak them nipples, dude.
But toys.
There you go.
You start appreciating shit.
You start appreciating the toys, huh?
Fuck yeah, work that shit for a little while before you know what I mean? Shit.
Yeah, we did a pod last week and we found out that I'm incredibly boring and Jay is not.
I mean, we're starting out with toys and stuff. So this is gonna get heavy.
It's gonna get weird, dude. Yeah. Welcome. This is actually about gay heterosexual men.
Yeah, I mean, we're already having a conversation about microphones.
Anyway, but yeah, man, I appreciate you coming on. Obviously biker dude, but you do a fucking pretty noble job. You're a nurse, right?
Yeah,
so
yeah.
If you can kind of give us what do you do? What's your background?
So I started in the medical field, working in EMS on an ambulance, going to 911 calls and doing transportation, for medical patients. So anything from simple, they just need to go from one hospital to another to like people calling 911 for heart attacks and shit.
Right.
Like that.
Did you do that up north as well in Santa Barbara, or was that?
No, I did that down here in Oxnard, which
well, you're busy down
there.
That's where I'm from.
Yeah.
And during that time frame,
Oxnard.
That's right. I don't know what the statistic is now, but we used to be 3/4 of all emergency calls in Ventura County were in Oxnard.
Really?
So
yeah, come on now. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Jay was the cause of at least half of them.
No, I don't remember.
Yeah. And then I got into working in psych for a little while at a psych hospital. And then now I work in it. And then while I was there, I went through nursing school and became a nurse. And then now I work at an emergency department.
Yeah.
So
yeah.
And thank you for becoming a nurse, man. You know what I mean? That's one of the they don't get enough recognition. They should be at the top of the list. To me, I've been around it a bunch. I've put a couple women through school, and I've done all that stuff, and I've watched what they had to go through and the work that it took to get there, man. And it's no joke, man.
Yeah.
And then to deal with everything you have to deal with, my wife, the first wife, I put her through school and she was in oncology. And
fuck.
Jesus, dude, it was brutal. You know what I mean? And then my brother's a respiratory therapist at county,
There you go.
you know, so I've been around and I know, you know, and then when you talk about your psych shit, I had friends that worked at Camarillo, you know, and all they were glorified thugs, dude. You know, they just had to deal with every day, all day, taking care of these people that were out of their mind, that were then just let loose.
Yeah, it's hard, like, you know, like, because I still do, you know, I'm in the emergency department. My focus is still on psych, but I deal with medical aspects also, because it's the emergency room.
Right.
And like psych people have medical emergencies also. So you know, and it's a combination of factors, like, you know, just everything's different. And God, if anything, like, if there's anybody thinking about getting into nursing or healthcare, don't go psych route. Don't do it. Go do something else, because like, one, if you start that route, you're kind of put into a niche, you know, you're kind of stuck there. Everything else can kind of transition a little easier.
Really?
But dude, psych, there's like no, like, you see like nursing school and they're like, you know, you feel so fulfilled for helping people, and you do for a while. And then you get salty and shitty like me. So.
That's what I was going to ask you. Like, you know, you've been doing it for how many years now?
Oh, I mean, altogether, like the whole medical thing I've been doing for, oh God, you know, almost 20 years altogether.
Right.
But I've been doing nursing now for about 10 years now.
Wow. So, but it has to be hard to hold compassion, right? I mean,
yeah, dude,
because you are you know, when I first met you, obviously big guy, you're like, fuck this guy, these could be terrible, but you're literally the most mild mannered, like, you had a great demeanor, you're not hard to talk to at all. And then when I found out what you did, I went, that has to make sense, you know what I mean? Because when you're dealing with chaos every day like that, you know what I mean? You're either going to kill yourself or everyone in there, or you're going to fucking adapt. But do you find yourself losing compassion over the years, or do you actively try to remember it?
You know what? It comes and goes. You know, obviously, you know, COVID has been, you know, a big thing. And so the last 2 years has been just, you know, it's been grueling. Like, just, it wears on you, so that, like, I've definitely, like, it's called burnout, you know, and it happens to anybody in the medical field, depending on how long you've been in it. And I've even had to talk to, like, you know, other people I work with, and we've all been like struggling with burnout. Like, it's a huge thing. That's why they actually, like, there's a lot of like people who've gone on leaves of absence where we're, you know, there's, you know, and so just because people just, you know, it's a lot, takes its toll, you know.
I mean, emotionally, mentally, it has to, you know what I mean? There's no way you can deal with someone that's literally, you deal with people that are losing their mind at that moment in time. You know what I mean? How is that not translating to you? You know what I mean? I mean, I'm not saying it does. I'm just saying, like, for me, it would fucking kill me.
I mean, that's kind of why I got into it at first. Cause like, you know, my family was like, you know, you're always good in crisis. You're always calm. You don't get, like, you know, riled up. You know, I've always been more of a person who, like, goes towards if there's an issue, you know, and then, you know, that runs away from it. So I'm really comfortable there. But, you know, you can only be told, like, fuck you, and, like, you know, yell that. So don't people throw shit at you, people try to fight you, like, and that's another thing you don't realize. They don't tell you in nursing school, they don't tell anybody, like, it's one of the most assaulted professions.
Oh, it has
in the world. Like, it's like, someone who works in what I do is something like 69 times more likely to be assaulted than any other profession.
Right.
Like, it's insane.
Yeah.
So
69
it's like,
times
more. Sorry,
not even a little bit.
69 times more than the average.
That's so much.
So that I like how you downplay. I'm going to downplay that 69% of the average person that doesn't deal with shit. You know, I mean,
or any other nurse that deals with it.
And so, and, you know, that was kind of my niche into the current job I had, is, you know, they asked me, like, first they asked me a question like, what's your weakness, basically, and I, you know, just came up with a fucking, like, I'm not good at this. It's something that everybody else isn't good at.
Totally. But
then they're like, you know, what's something only you bring? And I was like, I'm 6'8", and I'm always like, every time I'm on the unit, people feel safe.
Totally.
And they're like, fucking sold.
Totally.
Exactly. So I've had friends that back before Camarillo closed, and they worked at Camarillo State Hospital, and all they did was walk around all day to doing takedowns. That's it. That was, you know, they literally, it's crazy. You know, they would carry towels that they would use, you know, they would take them and roll them a certain way and do certain things so that you could get yourself, you know, if you can catch them behind the neck
Yeah.
and stun them for that little bit, that 2 or 3 seconds, it gave you that opportunity to take them down. And then your crew would then hold down this person that has that retard strength. You know what I mean? Like they are ready to just go ballistic right now. They were there 3 months ago, and now is their opportunity. And all they're looking for a lot of the times is just that. They're just looking for that physical release. And you're like, man, why do I have to do it?
Yeah, when I first got into it, like when I first started working in like psych away from EMS, and even when I was EMS, because I was younger, and you're a young dude, you know, testosterone's flowing through your veins. You're, you know, and I'm, like I said, I've always been a guy who kind of goes towards conflict as opposed to going the other direction.
Right.
You know, it was kind of appealing at first, like, oh, you know, you're constantly getting these physical things and having to do anything, and you had to do it without hurting them. You know, as best as you could. But back in the day, like you said, like, I mean, the shit,
dude,
fucking whole nother world. Any of that old school stuff, you know, and I come across like some old heads who still, you know, used to do like at Camarillo State, things like that. And they tell me some stories, and I'm like, that shit.
Oh my God, dude.
Jail now.
Oh yeah, you'd be mad, right?
Yeah. Yeah, they did you with,
but you're dealing with people that are absolute lunatics.
Yeah.
And you're not trying to hurt them. You're just trying to give yourself a little bit of a bump.
Yeah.
To where, okay,
a little advantage.
Yeah, that couple of seconds of slowing them down enough to where you can get them in a basket hole, take them down, and then your crew can come and help you take them and get them to the next spot. You know, I've had one of my best friends did it for a long time, and a couple of other good friends. They're all have back problems and stuff from doing it, but that's all they did. You know,
and you know what? Like a lot of that is, you know, the psych people, like people with, you know, schizophrenia and bipolar. You know, usually they're not the assaulted ones. It's the guys that I got who came in who've been up for like 3 weeks, a shit ton of meth, which is what I get a lot of that. That's what's burning me out, is like the tweakers, like, and I'm, like I said, we spoke earlier, I'm libertarian. I don't care what you do, fucking put it up your nose, snark whatever you want,
right?
But like, if you can't handle your shit, don't come into my fucking emergency room and start trying to tear it up. Like, don't be a dick. You know what I mean? Stay home, close the fucking.
Be respectful with your meth use. That's the lesson here.
I personally feel like if meth is the worst.
Oh yeah.
Everything else, anything else. I mean, fentanyl. You know, I wish it just go away. But
asleep. Right?
Yeah. Nobody's coming in trying to fight me when they're
but the death factor behind it.
Yeah. Exactly.
You know, it's the death factor. Yeah. But as far as like, you know, my father was a heroin addict, and he did it until he was 50 years old. He's now 80.
Yeah.
And he's still, you know, he's still here.
Yeah.
I see other guys that lived a normal, regular life, and they're 70 and they're shot out.
Yeah.
And Pops is still kicking. You know,
still
he's a crabby old prick.
Well,
but he's still kicking it, you know.
Opiates have, you know, like stimulants. You know, you don't meet a lot of like 70-year-olds who are doing meth. Not to say that I haven't. I've had some come through. I had a lady come through who's,
I know a couple of them that are still doing it.
This lady would put it in her coffee, and she would think fucking snakes coming out of the ceiling and shit like that.
Oh my God, dude.
And then we'd be like, you know, maybe you should stop. And she had like cardiac issues, was constantly, you know, throwing lab values that showed that there was heart attack shit going on. And we're like, bitch, you're gonna die. Like, you should stop that. She's like,
literally gonna die.
Just a little bit.
Fucking okay,
just a little bit.
You know what? Fucking you've bought that ticket on.
Yeah. Well, it's like the Lemmy effect, right? Like Lemmy was told, Lemmy Kilmister was told by doctors that you can't stop doing meth. If you stop doing meth, you're going to fucking die. Your body, you're literally, it's in your blood. It's in your DNA.
Oh, man.
If you stop doing it, you're going to fucking die. And the fucking dude, I mean, until he got cancer and died, I'm pretty sure still partied.
Oh, cocaine.
You know what
cocaine.
I mean?
There's guys that have done cocaine, or humans, people that have done cocaine.
Yeah.
That have done it on a regular. You know, my dad had a friend that did it for years and years and years and years, went into rehab, did his rehab stint, walked out of rehab and died of a heart attack.
Yeah.
And it was because his body's like, where's my dope?
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Been used to living for 30 years with it. You know what I mean? Yeah. It happens, man. I mean, but it's got to be the meth guys and all that.
The psychosis that comes along with it is like when they start losing their mind. And like the thing is, where I work is that they have a law enforcement who just like doesn't want to do fuck all. Like, you know what I mean?
Right.
So there'll be a guy who's like chasing people down the street, assaulting people. We had a guy who was like running down the street with butcher knives in each hand.
Oh my God.
They brought him in. He had no psych history. They're like, yeah, he's psych. The next day he sobers up, he's ready to leave, and there's no legal ramifications. Like
Really?
No, because they're just like, fuck it, we don't want to deal with this.
Wow.
Well, and
That's crazy. Like,
and look,
look,
man,
good for him. I'm always look, my stance is like I'm never rooting for the cops. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, but I was just like, at a certain point, you're like, fuck, dog. Like, you just have to pull the psych card, and you get out of trouble.
That's
like,
it.
It's a saying in Santa Barbara.
Well,
They say if you don't want to go to jail, say you're suicidal.
Right.
And you're like, do you wait till you're in cuffs to do that? To like get out of it? You know what I mean?
Yeah,
or you just,
Craig, take notes.
yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
If you
Oh, I
wanna
already
get out of
took-
jail,
Yeah.
if you ever get arrested, just say, you know what, I'm gonna kill myself, and then
Yeah.
fucking you're out of it.
Yeah, totally. I mean, all that whole thing is, and I don't know if it's because of the fear of being sued, or I don't know what it, or it's a cultural shift.
Pendulum, man.
It has to be,
because
right?
They used to just send everybody to jail, and they'd let fucking dudes die in cells.
Oh,
or
totally,
fucking,
dude.
know
Back
what
in the Reagan era, dude, they were fucking people up back then.
Yeah, they're fucking going,
Reagan
like,
era
full on fucking-
up until
Yeah,
fucking
yeah, I don't know about
recently,
Reagan.
man.
Well, but I'm just saying, he's
Just
the one that
until
released all
recently.
those people.
Yeah.
He's like, "Fuck you guys,
Oh,
fend
dude.
for
And so
yourselves."
now
when
Yeah.
they let Cam out.
Yeah, exactly.
Just shut it down by crazies.
Later,
And
dude.
what are they supposed
Yeah.
to do?
Well, now it's on the other side of the spectrum, and it's
Mhm.
just like, and it's like with everything, dude. Just go the middle of the road, man.
Hey,
Stop
and-
fucking.
And
Yeah, well-
we
Yeah.
both have been around it. We understand, like I never ever thought that I would be like trying to defend cops, but it's also to the point I'm
Right.
like they need to be able to do some of their job.
Totally,
Like,
man.
Yeah.
there's that line, the pendulum that you're talking about. Like there's the, Richard Pryor, Red Fox, all these guys have been talking about police abuse and all that stuff. And I've watched it as a child growing up in an urban community. I've seen it. And now all of a sudden it's a thing because we all have cameras.
Right.
But before cameras, it just happened. But
Yeah.
there's the pendulum of like, okay, now you guys need to, like, they still have to do their job.
Well, they're terrified to do their jobs. I work
Yeah.
around the sheriffs every day. My site is next to the sheriffs, and I have conversations with them daily, which makes me uncomfortable every day. But a lot of them are fucking terrified to do their job anymore. You
Yeah.
know what I mean? And it really is true. You know?
Yeah, I don't know if I've seen, for me on the other side of things, because I'm really not, sympathetic to their plight.
I know.
Like,
Yeah, you chose to become a cop
Yeah,
too,
you're
right?
fucking-
Yeah.
yeah, you know what I mean.
Yeah.
And I've got a lot of bad interactions with them. But I would be wrong to say that there aren't some out there that's probably the case. you
Yeah.
know, So, but I've also met a lot of others who are just fucking cocksuckers.
Totally,
They come
man,
into
yeah.
the emergency room and they start throwing their weight around. I've had people. This guy's trying to assault people, and he's being aggressive. And they're like, "Well, what do you want us to do about it?" I don't know, man. Maybe
You're the
you
fucking
you
cops.
guys- that's what you do. Dog.
Don't you got the taser?
120-pound nurse over here. She's terrified, and you're dropping off some shitbag who's my size who wants to kill everybody. Maybe you should take this one, Chief. Fuck.
Yeah. He said he was going to rape her children.
dude, So, but but like I said, I've had guys come in and they get, they say all this, and what I tell them, I was like, look, man, you got lucky, you got away with it this time. Calm the fuck down, okay?
Yeah,
Good luck. You know what I mean? I've had cops, bringing people who are on parole. Not too long ago, I had one, and he was another meth thing. And his parole officer knew that he didn't have any psych background. And he was there at the thing, and they're like, he's psychotic. Well, you don't just fucking get like that one day. Like, it's not like, not at the age of where he was at. When you're younger, that's when you kind of develop those, and it pops out of nowhere. This guy had a long history of meth abuse, all this. They sent him to us anyways. He had to be restrained, and he's trying to fight nurses. And luckily I'm there, because not all nurses are my size, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Nor have the willingness to deal with that kind of confrontation. And then the next day he was sober. We were cool. He apologized, and his parole officer was like, "Hey man, can you keep him for like another 24 hours? Because I'm gonna arrest him." And I had to go tell the dude, like, "Look, homie, these guys are coming to get you. You better get your shit straight. Go get in a program so you have something to
go
get your
off.
shit
Yeah.
straight, so that maybe the ramifications of what you
And
did."
hopefully,
Yeah,
He did.
Hopefully it got him on the right track.
you know what
it's
I mean?
more helpful than him going back in.
Yeah.
Right.
I mean, it would go back again, man. And I, like the rest of us, is like, hey man, if you want to do it and have a good time.
Yeah.
I
Right.
don't feel that way about meth.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It is such
Yeah,
I was
it's
I
kind
was
of
like-
an all or nothing drug.
I was like 18 or 19. I lived in Lemonwood.
All
And
right,
I was a hustler in Lemonwood. So that's what I did, was I sold rock. You know what I mean? And
Yeah.
and I was talking to my father one time, and at the time I had a couple of gay guys my mom was friends with, and I would get meth from them straight from San Diego. Fucking bag would be wet. You know what I mean? It was fucking beautiful, bro. And but I'm
beautiful product.
I'm out hustling on the streets, and I would be like, okay, I would take a little bit, just like we were talking about earlier. I'd take a little bit. I dropped my coffee.
Yeah.
You know, I wouldn't snort it because I know I was going to fuck myself up. So I'd put a little of my coffee before Red Bull. And I'd be off to the races.
It was
you know
the
what I mean?
early Red Bull.
You know, I ironically about that is that like amphetamines work better orally than they do being snorted.
Do they really?
Yeah,
Oh, dude.
Hey,
man,
smoked or any of that. Like orally is actually the better route for it. These fucking guys just can't wait to get there instead of taking it orally and having to wait that 30, 40
I guess. Yeah.
So, you know, pro tip, if you want to do meth, get fucked up. Swallow it. Don't fucking start it, pussy.
That's right, baby.
I call and I talk to my pops about it.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm telling him, like, you know, and again, we're having this conversation. He's in jail and he's all, stop.
Yeah.
I'm like, but what do you mean? He's like, look, man, do whatever you want to do, but this is what meth does. And he's like, it's going to wear your body out. It's going to kill you. Your teeth are going to fall out. Your body structure is going to drop. Everything about you is going to go away. And it's like, it is the worst thing. It is a poison. It's disgusting. Stop doing it. And I did.
It changes what kind of person you are when you're using it.
I know we've all been around people.
I know dudes who are salty. There are people that are good people, but when they were on that shit, they were fucking scumbags.
Totally.
Yeah. And at a certain point in time, the drug becomes unnecessary.
Yeah.
They're just gone.
Yeah.
Right.
You know, when we were talking about the nurse, and I told you my wife was a nurse and she was an oncology nurse and stuff. She got hooked on meth. She hasn't been a nurse in years and she's homeless out on the streets. And I ended up raising my daughter by myself because she went psycho on meth, you know, and she calls me and talks to me and I'm like, who are you? You know, you were this compassionate human and now you're just talking to me about, I need you to check my boyfriend's got fucking satellites on the roof of our motorhome down in Wainimi. You know, she's out of her fucking mind.
It'll change your brain and it will. We get that a lot. Like some of the people we get, and I'm still sympathetic to the, you know, some of the patients that I get through who are, you know, we call them just perma-fried. It has gone its course. There's a certain point where there's a point of no return. And that's just it. You know what I mean? And like I was talking about, like the violent patients and stuff. It's not usually my schizophrenics. It's not my bipolars. Almost always there's some sort of substance abuse factor. Those are the guys who, when they don't get what they want, they flip their shit. They're the ones who are go from 0 to 60 before you even realize it. You know, the guys who are schizophrenic, if there is a violent encounter, it's usually fear-based. Like you're trying to, you know, fucking put a chip in my brain or looking for the president, you know, and fucking spying on me. And, you know, it's things like that, fear-based. Whereas like drug substance abuse is like, I'm not getting what I want, or I don't have the things that I desire. And you're an obstacle, or you're just not, you know, they just get frustrated and then they're nasty. And also, you know, part of the culture, you know, the street culture, there's violence involved.
And but you're able to, you know, you're able to step back and see what it is, you know what I mean, right? Rather than treating everything like a fucking, you know, if you got a hammer, everything becomes a nail, right? Like you don't have to operate like that.
I read the situations. You know, there's guys who I'm like, you know, fuck this. You know,
I just hate this motherfucker.
There's like I deal with some people. I'm like, I don't have any empathy for them. I'm like, they're just a piece of shit.
Right.
On general, though, I try to come at it because, like, the same thing with my father. We're talking about substance abuse. He was a meth user for a long time. You know, and that's ultimately what killed him. And you know, when I was, you know, young. Was that lifestyle same way, you know, it all permanently altered the damage to his heart, you know, but he was a good dude, but he was a total piece of shit when he was on it, you know. So there's parts of me that was always been able to be sympathetic, you know, but still be, you know, accepting the fact that, you know, you don't forgive everything.
Having my father as a heroin addict and my uncles and stuff and the people around me when I was growing up, the most annoying thing was them putting on Johnny Cash on that album, and it would play to the end and then would pick up and it would play again and then and my brother and I, it took us quite a while before we liked Johnny Cash again. Like, you know, everybody's like, oh, this is the best. I'm like, no, it's not, because
I'm thinking of my dad passed out on the couch.
He passed on the couch and he would reach over. My brother and I go to change the record. Like, we just wanted to watch cartoons.
Right.
So we're like, and it's the second you moved it, he's like, hey, what are you doing? Like, Dad, man, you and Uncle Hezzy are passed out, man. We're just trying to watch some cartoons. He's like, no, we're listening to that.
Yeah.
And like, man,
that's how I feel about the song "Return to Sender" from Elvis. Because one time I was driving, driving to Vegas one time with my family and my mother's second husband. fucking huge Elvis fan, and he just listened to that CD on repeat. Now, I don't know if you know how long Elvis songs. They're not that fucking long.
No,
That Return to Sender song came on like fucking something like 40 times.
You're gonna be in the hospital.
I hear it now. And I'm like, fuck that song.
It's the worst. I feel that way about any fucking Billy Joel song ever written, dude. Calm down, okay? I'm sure you're a huge Billy Joel fan too, right?
Hey, look, you motherfucker. Let's not get that started already. We'll save that for a little bit. All right, we'll just get straight to it, man. How do you feel about Jethro Tull?
Oh God!
Not shut your fucking pipe.
I don't listen to it, so I don't have an opinion about it.
Okay. So good man right there.
Is he?
Yeah.
Jethro Tull fucking sucks.
You eat a dick.
It's fucking this guy.
Flutes. We'll eat some mushrooms. Eat some mushrooms. We'll sit in the corner and we'll talk about it.
I don't know.
Well, everything's good when you're on mushrooms.
Anything,
brother.
That's not.
Amen.
I agree with that part. But you have seen a massive uptick during COVID, right? I mean, I know you guys are like, everyone's in the nursing industry and the fucking, first responders, everyone's overworked, everyone's maxed out, but you've seen a real massive fucking tick for like mental health, people losing their fucking minds during this.
Yeah, absolutely. For substance abuse people who come in, there's massive amount of, relapse scenarios. Cause the place I work, the hospital, they also have like an inpatient unit. It's a voluntary unit. And
can you say what it is or
the
where you work?
It's in Santa Barbara.
Why you gotta put him on blast?
Well, it's not that I want to put him on blast. It's like we were talking about earlier. Is my daughter went through that treatment program,
right?
And my daughter
also
went
did
through
my
other
sister did as well.
programs.
I remember you asked me some advice about
totally. And when my kid went
it
through
does
other,
good stuff.
My daughter went through other programs before I got her up there.
Yeah.
And those other programs were a fucking joke.
The deal is Santa Barbara, it's an affluent community. You
right.
know what I mean?
Yeah, is it really?
Yeah. Right.
Oh, okay.
Right. Yeah,
no, I didn't know.
A little bit. I think Oprah lives up there.
Yeah.
Ellen's over there fucking beating the fuck out of her maids,
No shit.
I didn't know we were going to get into my sexual pain things again already.
I didn't know that Katy Perry and Orlando Bloom are a thing.
Oh, okay.
But they fucking brought us breakfast burritos, dropped them off the emergency department for all the people working.
Oh, that's nice.
I was like,
really
fucking cool. Katy
like,
Perry,
where's the ring, motherfucker?
Yeah. We'll take that.
Yeah. The Pirates of the Caribbean, dude. Yeah. Fucking elf guy.
Yeah, the elf dude. The elf guy. Oh, he was in Pirates of the Caribbean, huh?
Yeah.
I forgot about that. I only know him from fucking Lord of the Rings anymore. That's it.
But it's been an uptake, especially in like the substance stuff. The difficulty that we've been having is like non-substance stuff, is what do you do with people who are mentally ill and are difficult to wrangle, right? And especially when they get COVID, which I'm taking care of COVID positive patients. So that's a fucking nightmare in itself. And
right.
I want to make it clear that I don't work on a COVID unit. That's a whole different monstrosity. It's a fucking nightmare. Because the fact of the matter is that if you get admitted to a hospital with COVID, strong chance you're not coming back out. If you get admitted, you're fucking,
right. Yeah. Your chances are nil.
Right? Yeah, it's pretty fucking low. I mean, that's what they've said. I didn't ever go around the unit. That's not what I was doing. I work in the emergency department. But if you got admitted, if you were that bad, it was bad. Otherwise, you didn't need to be admitted, and you got over it.
Right.
You know what I mean? So it is stark contrast. So that's why, like, when you hear it from nurses who have worked on a unit, why they're just like, this is the apocalypse of it. Well, yeah, because that's all they're fucking seeing is everybody dies.
Totally.
And they're that's why that group of nurses is so burnt out. Because if you have no hope of doing any good, like everything you do is futile. You know what I mean? It fucking,
where it's going to end every time. Almost.
So now they kind of, not to make a joke at it, but now they kind of know what like psych nursing's like, because you never fucking fix those people either. You know what I mean? But it's difficult for that. But the uptake we've seen is like relapses.
A lot of relapses. I bet
the relapses are huge. People becoming suicidal. You've taken away people's entire social structure of what they depend on for support.
Right.
People who are depressed, before they could be like, I'm struggling, get out with my friends and have a coping mechanism.
Yeah, that couple nights a week.
Go to a meeting.
Everybody's
go to a meeting.
Yeah, go to a meeting. A huge one is being able to go to meetings. It was all shut off, and there was just this isolation. And isolation is an addicts and people with mental illness, it's a huge barrier. I mean, it's setting them up
isolation for anybody.
Yeah,
is a huge deal.
If you're locked up and they put you in, isolation or whatever, I mean, that itself will make you go crazy out over a certain
Yeah.
time.
That's when you hear prisoners that's stuck in the hole for fucking 30 days and they come out nuts.
Just like, fucking lose their shit.
Dude.
And it's a real thing.
Yeah.
We're social creatures. So it's been difficult in that aspect. Not only that, but like all the ramifications that come along with it, like people losing their jobs, people, who are in financial crisis, people losing their housing. It was shitty before that. And this just fucking
amplifies it. Right.
And then the difficulty too is like the people who are already chronically that we see on a regular basis, because we see a lot of recidivism in the emergency department. There's people, we call them frequent flyers, they come in and in and in.
Yeah.
And we turn them out.
We call him Craig.
We get them.
Yeah. I mean, look at this guy. Obviously.
I'm a big visitor of hospitals.
Yeah. Or proctologist.
That's right.
That's a whole different story.
It's the 6th one this year, dude. Hey man,
Clear,
I can't find the fucking porn search I like, so I might as well fucking solve it.
Yeah, but that's the big deal. And then when COVID first hit, it was fucking the chillest job ever.
Oh, I bet, dude.
Everybody was like terrified. So they were like, I'm not going anywhere fucking near a hospital. There was days where we were just sitting there. I'm like, man, I haven't done dick for like 5 hours.
Yeah, I bet.
And everybody's like, you guys are heroes. And I was like, well, are you sure?
I'm a hero. I'm gonna hero this fucking breakfast burrito from Orlando Bloom right now.
Exactly. Dude, when they brought that, there was literally like fucking like 10 people in the emergency department.
That's awesome.
And like I was talking about with the nurse that I work with, and we were like, man, I feel kind of fucking guilty. Like we're getting all these like accolades, we're getting all these things, the support, and we're not doing shit. And then everything fucking caught up.
Everything caught up, right?
So it just depended on what area you were, because there was people out there like, this isn't even a thing, like they were medical workers, and then they were like 3 months later, like, never fucking mind, spoke too soon.
Right. Well, and that's how I think of the interesting thing with COVID is that we're just now starting to really feel the effects of the shutdown, the fucking loss of life, the people.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? I think it's going to be I think next year is going to be a rough one too. You know what I mean? As far as like people trying to figure out how to come out of it, but I'm always fascinated because like, for me, COVID lit a fire under my ass. It was weird. Like there's people that grow up in chaos and they're used to it. And I thrive in chaos. Like I get all pumped, dude. Like I'm like, let's start the podcast, fucking band, blah, 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 get it going, fucking move. This is my time to move. People are fucking sitting at home doing nothing. Let's fucking do something. But some people cannot, like it shuts them down completely.
Well, they say adversity builds, excellence, right? Like a lot of people in adversity, like that challenge to make yourself better and build up.
Right.
So there is aspects of that. But then, like you said, there's other people who are like, this is fucking too much. Like I'm done.
I'm done, dude.
And so we've seen a lot of that. And then like the other big thing, like it's, it sounds bitchy and complaining, but it's like the fucking, like for us, like masks all day, every day.
Oh, I know.
Like I had a buddy, I have a group chat of friends, and they were going back and forth. One who's like a fucking anti-masker, conservative guy. Another one who's just like anything that comes up, off of CNN is the fucking gospel. And so they just kind of like, one of these days I'm gonna leave that fucking chat.
Yeah,
these fucking, two going at it all the time. And they're fighting over masks, the efficacy of them and the policy behind it. And my more liberal leaning friend who's like, well, how hard is it wearing that little cloth mask over your face? And I was like, well, man, how often do you have to wear it at work? And he was like, huh? And I was like, how many hours average do you have to wear that mask? He's like, well, he doesn't work, he's in college, he's at home, most of it's virtual. So he's like 0. And I was like, dog, I fucking wear that shit for 12 hours a day. Let me tell you, it fucking sucks. Is it the worst thing in the world? No. Is it like a huge fucking inconvenience? And like if you have anxiety and all, fucking,
if you're having any breathing issues whatsoever,
you guys are talking. I've had
to physically fight off violent patients
with a mask,
with a fucking mask on.
Totally.
And it's the fucking worst. I'm like sitting there like breathing this motherfucker into my mouth. It's like take a plastic bag and put it over your mouth and then breathe it in like that fucking John Wick scene.
Right. Are you having to wear the N95s? And
no,
shit?
I don't have. So
okay.
That won't work with me because of the beard.
Yeah,
but I did get told like, hey, maybe you need to shave off that beard. And I was like, I choose death.
I'm Muslim, dude. I can't do it.
I'm with you on that one.
It's a religious thing.
So so that's like a tedious thing, like putting on all the fucking COVID gear, which is like I sent a picture of my friends and they're like, what the fuck is all that? I was like, this is what you have to put on if someone just pops positive. They could be not contagious, they could have before.
Doesn't
you gotta
matter.
wear all this dog shit.
All
so
this
like
shit.
that stress is additional on people who are working it. So like that's why like the nurses on the COVID units, I'm like, fuck that shit, man. Like,
Oh yeah, dude.
I've had to deal with it, semi frequently, but like not on their level. I could see where that just burns you the fuck out.
Yeah, anyone who says it's not a fucking problem to wear that thing all day is an idiot. Because even I have to teach I teach a class, once a week on Saturdays. We have to have them in the fucking classroom. I got to wear the fucking mask all day.
Yeah.
And after I'm done talking for 8 hours with that fucking thing on my face, I'm exhausted and I can talk, what I mean? I have no problems doing that, but it is a fucking problem. You know what I mean? Like, and for anyone to say it, they don't worry about it because they wear it when they walk in that fucking store, then they take it off.
Yeah.
But my favorite is the double mask in the car. You know what I mean? That's the best.
I wear masks effective in certain aspects. Absolutely, yes. The reason we know that is because the flu season was fucking
ridiculous,
non-existent.
Right?
It wiped it out. But that's, could you argue, is that the social distancing or is that the mask? Well, probably combination of
a little
both.
bit of
but
both.
You could see that there was a massive drop in contagious disease, that it has as predictable.
It does work. Yeah.
So, that happened. But do we still need to do it? My honest opinion, no.
Yeah.
I can tell you right now, in the apartment I work at, the volume of people coming in positive is fucking massively low compared to what it was before. Before where we were seeing, we have on our screen, when someone pops positive just on our board, we can see all the patients in the emergency department. You can see everybody, and you can see a little red tick basically that says that person's positive, this person's positive. And for a while there, it was gnarly.
Yeah,
it's not now.
It's not.
So you can go days without seeing it.
But we go back to the point of is the fact that all of a sudden we're being courteous and we're wearing masks and we're doing this stuff. Is that part of why we get that lower tick? Now I know I do understand that there's the, I mean, we can go any which way with it, but the bottom line is like, look, do they work or they don't work, whatever. It slowed shit down.
Oh, absolutely.
So then do we go, well, now that it's slowed shit down, well, fuck you guys, why do we wear it?
Well, there's a combination of factors, right? And I want to be clear, like, I'm not a virologist,
we're not scientists.
I'm a nurse, and I focus in a certain area. What I'm talking about is just
I am a light performing proctologist.
And I can attest to that.
But there's a combination of factors influencing it, right? So there's the social distancing and the mask is one aspect of it. Two is people have gotten it. People have the vaccine. There's a lot of things. Like now, it's either you've been vaccinated or you got it. I know so many people that have gotten it.
But the people and then we go back to the people that have gotten it, that have been vaccinated, do better than the ones that haven't done shit.
Yeah, statistically, according to CDC reports.
One of my best friends in the world, my brother, love him to death. Like one of my number one brothers, man, has it right now. Yeah, and he's been vaccinated,
and you're over here.
Yeah,
my biological
I'm trying
brother.
to give it to you. You look like you need it. Yeah, maybe it'll help you lose weight.
My biological brother just got it, and my niece, they both got it, at the same time, and he had the vaccination.
Yeah.
Now he was fine, sure, but I also know guys who didn't have it before the vaccine; they were totally fine. But I also have brothers, club brothers for me, and people I know. One recently who he died from it.
Yeah,
he didn't, have the vaccine. He's the same exact age as me. He's like 2 days younger than me.
Right,
same exact age, and he died.
Yeah.
And that's the scary part, and that's what freaks everybody out. Is there's a Russian roulette component to it.
There really is. It's fucking wild.
We talked about earlier about like you've had several vaccines. Like you haven't been like, I'm not doing this.
No,
if they told me right now, hey, tomorrow you can get another vaccine, I'd be right there. You stick it in my neck? Stick it in my neck. I don't care. You know what I mean? Like, and as far as like, well, you might get this, that, or the other. I poison myself every weekend. So
right.
You know what I mean?
Exactly. Like I'm a bit hypocritical. I'm like, I'm worried about my health, about the
seriously, man. You know what I mean? Yeah, exactly. So
absolutely. So that's one of the reasons I was one of the very first to get the vaccine. I got the vaccine way before it was available to the public. I got the Pfizer. And I got it the second day it was available to the first, because I work in the emergency department. I'm frontline. So I got it right away. Did I have some side effects? Very mild. I had some chills, and I felt just a little tired, but it went away, within the first day.
Right.
And I was good.
Yeah.
It kind of freaked me out for a second because shit, did I get it? And I'm like, because I was like, did I get sick and not realize it and then got the vaccine? But then it, everything cleared up and I was good.
I think we all felt that.
Everybody, dude. Every time I couldn't breathe for a minute, I was like, oh my God.
There was that moment of like, anytime you had any sort of just not feeling good, like, fuck, I got it. I'm going out.
I'm going down.
Hey man, everybody around me that got the vaccine got super, like my brother is a respiratory therapist at county.
Yeah.
And he did it. And my brother doesn't miss work.
Yeah.
He just doesn't. And he ended up home sitting on the couch. He was sick. He had the flu
just
symptoms sick.
Yeah.
And then I got the vaccine and I did the Madeira, which is the worst, supposedly. Like as far as like,
gonna get that J&J.
Yeah.
J&J.
And I'm all
get the one that fucking gave all the babies cancer. Definitely get that one, dude. The fucking
not a baby.
Not you. No, I just love that Johnson and Johnson is like, they're literally the ones that killed like 1 billion babies.
Yeah.
And they're like, hey, check out this vaccine. Everyone's all fucking get it. It's only one shot. Let's go.
Here's another bottle of Vicodin.
Yeah. I don't know. I just felt like, if I'm gonna get a shot, like I want to get it from people that make medication, not fucking baby shampoo.
Right. Yeah. Give me the fucking give me the fucking guys that make
the guys
Xanax.
There with no more tears. I'll go to you for that shit.
Yeah. Fragrance-free baby wipes and also vaccines.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The second shot, everybody I know that got the second shot of the Pfizer, it fucking floored them.
Yeah.
Like, all the nurses I work with got floored on the second shot. But I also, like I said, got the booster shot.
Oh, you got the booster, huh?
The booster.
Oh boy.
Now there was
same Pfizer. They said they just released you can mix match. Dude, what fucking
dude?
Like, literally, what doctor in the world is like, just take whatever you want, dude?
Hey man,
fucking take a Z-Pack and
shots
some
of tequila
steroids
and Jameson. You know what I mean? I'm not picking.
Keep it wild.
But my problem is the fucking like the pure hypocrisy with this shit. I walk into a fucking restaurant and I'm not an asshole, so I wear the mask, right? I don't think I need to, but I walk into a restaurant. I have my mask on. I sit at my table.
Take it off.
I take the fucking mask on. Stupid. It's just the most dumb shit ever.
These are
right?
not policies written by people who know what the fuck is going on.
Right.
Yeah.
No.
Just like, I mean, let's be honest. Most laws, regulations are not written by people who know anything about the subject.
Totally, man.
They are pandering to certain things. There's other things involved with it. It has nothing to do with it. The idea that you can sit, you couldn't, the bars got closed down, right?
Right.
Unless you served food. Well, somehow that burger was keeping you fucking safe.
Right.
Like, that's fucking silly. Like, what the fuck was going on there?
Yeah. Definitely a fucking chili cheese dog's going to help you beat COVID. Exactly. So, it doesn't make any fucking sense. And that's my problem with it is like, I will not get the booster. Yeah. I'm vaccinated,
you're not
pro-vaccine, fucking fine, but I'm not getting the booster, dude.
Yeah.
I've done everything I'm supposed to do. You know what I mean? And I'm not like advocating not getting it if you don't, you know what I mean, for anyone else besides the fact that I'm not getting the fucking thing, dude.
Part of my motivation in when I got the vaccine is because, thank you, sir. Part of what my social circle, which is the biker social circle, are not, it's a bunch of rough and tumble,
they're not
dirty bikers who are
jumping
not like
in line to get vaccines.
Totally. I got guys who are like, fuck that, like, I don't need that shit, and really downplay it. So I got it early on because I wanted to show them that there was no fucking issue. I got it early on. And I posted it on social media so all my club brothers can see. Got it, fucking, and I'll give you a little report on how it's going.
Yeah.
And it was fine, and I had no issues. Now, are there people out there who have had issues? For fucking sure. Are the people that have had more issues from COVID? That number is vastly, superior. Mm-hmm. But at this point, like if you've had COVID, because that's another thing. They're trying to demand people who've gotten COVID get the vaccine, and I'm like, that's fucking silly. Like
it's ridiculous.
It doesn't make sense. Like, could you for sure? Will it do anything to you? Probably not. Absolutely. But I'm just not a pro mandating anything. Like, look, if you want to do anything, like let them do it. Like, if someone doesn't get the vaccine and gets COVID and dies, hey man, that was their fucking decision. So, let them roll. Like, that's how they wanted to go.
I'm not necessarily against the pro mandate.
I'm massively
well hold on.
Yeah.
I'm not necessarily against it if it's like at one point in time everybody needs to get polio shots.
Right.
Everybody needs to get these different
polio
shots.
Is a big difference.
Well, hold on. That's the thing, is when everybody's talking about this stuff and they're like, well, back in the day when it became this and everybody got that, well, it was proven that these shots stop polio and it then did stop polio.
Right.
None of this has been proven. Like
we're not going to know for 10 years what
and it's been proven that do your shots, and there's a really good chance that when you go to the hospital, you won't die.
Right.
Yeah.
But along with that, we still need to do the herd immunity. We still need to build our immunity.
It's impossible. And here's why, and they won't tell you, because so here's the deal, right? The reason that COVID is an issue, right, is this used to be not a human virus. This COVID-19 was not something that you could get, right? And so the argument of the whole gain of function stuff and the testing, they take a thing, they modify it to make it so that it can jump basically species, right? I don't know if you saw it, but there was a news article, I don't know, a couple months ago, that all 18 out of the 20 silverback gorillas at the Atlanta Zoo tested positive for COVID.
Right.
You can't go out and inoculate the wildlife.
Exactly.
No.
So there's always going to be pockets and reservoirs of where this is.
Yeah. And how many of those
we've opened pens,
we've had a problem?
There's sniffles and fucking, I don't think
and then they went back to fucking
I imagine it would have made the news if someone was like, fucking first silverback dies from COVID.
Definitely.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like,
but the silverbacks are a healthy, eating certain stuff, staying healthy, in good shape. Like they're beast.
But I've also like I said, like one of my brothers that died from it, and another friend that I had who died from it, they're fucking healthy dudes. So there's that Russian roulette component.
There is, man.
So
You're
scary,
right.
dude.
And that's what's terrifying to people, is that because like you have the most popular, like influenza comes around and you're like, we're good. I'm not an old person. Fuck it.
Right.
You know what I mean? And that's pretty much how it was for COVID. Also, if you're not old, you were mostly safe, except for certain people just fucking
diabetics, fucking obese.
Well, even you could have no
like
comorbidities, and all of a sudden you're just like, I could do that.
You
So
fucking
that's
die,
scared because you can't predict it, and you can't just say like I'll be fine, and so it's terrifying, and reasonably so.
It's still for me.
Yeah,
it's
a fucking hell of a way to die.
I lost my wife in April of last year, and part of it was like I couldn't be with her. She was at the hospital, they didn't take care of her right. Like there's a whole bunch of stuff that went along with all of this stuff. So my fear level of leaving right now and not like worrying about my kids, and they've already lost a parent, and not like the whole community honestly is just like but it's still like it's like part of me is like, just can I get it?
Well, it's
oh yeah, I feel the same way. Like, definitely, I feel the same way, because half of me goes, get the fucking vaccine, shut up. Like, seriously, shut up.
Yeah.
But also the other part of me is going like, now that we know what's kind of going on, the antibodies last 10 times longer if you get it and beat it naturally.
Yeah.
But yet they're still wanting you to get a vaccine after you've had it. Yeah. And then now they want to get it to the kids. And the big problem for me is like, they never retract they'll never not take, you know what I mean?
Yeah,
like when you start talking about losing all of your fucking choices, this is where it does start to happen. You know what I mean? Because it's a nonsense law after nonsense law after this. You know what I mean?
It's because people who don't know the topic they're talking about,
right?
They're the ones who are legislating on things. They're the ones making policies on things. And that's all. And just where we're at as a society, with how polarized our society is nowadays, it became a political issue, which is fucking silly. Like, it should have just been a public health issue. The second politicians got involved with it, it became a you versus us. And if you don't agree, then it's just fucking murked it up, when it should have just been a public health issue and leave politics out of it.
Right.
There's people who won't get it because they won't get the vaccine because of their political views. There's people who got it because of their political views. And it's like, hey man, that's fucking wacky. Like,
it's like, insane. Dude.
I wouldn't like, if that was what was determining how I did. I make my decisions off of reasonable science, and there's nothing that there's no political thing that's going to back one or the other. You know what I mean? Science is science. Truth.
Data is data.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. So are you going to be safe if you get the shot? Most likely. Are you going to survive if you get COVID? Most likely. But there's outliers. You could have.
We all know people that have gone down perfectly healthy, fucking, and it wrecked them.
And a lot of times, people are using personal limited scopes of experience to decide that that's what the truth is. So, like, if you're someone who got COVID and you fucking didn't feel sick at all, you're like, it's not a fucking big deal. Yeah. Well, tell it to my brother who just died. Right. You know what I mean? Yeah. That's not a thing that didn't happen to him. Then there's people who are like, somebody died and it's the fucking apocalypse and everybody's dying from it. That's not true either. Fucking,
right.
You know what I mean?
Like when this stuff first started and they were first talking about it, like,
because it's scary.
It is scary as fuck, man.
It was
when they were talking about, and understandably why they were talking about the numbers they were talking about, when they're talking about like, we're going to lose millions of people in the next 6 months.
Yeah.
we didn't understand. We had no idea what was going on. So it's understandable that like, okay, wait a minute, pump the brakes. Again, doesn't matter what, left, right, blue, blah, whatever.
Exactly.
It doesn't. Pump the brakes, man. All of us,
let's
step back and see what's going on, and then take those steps. And you know what I mean? And we go back to, we've all had our shots.
Yeah.
Tell me I can get a booster. I'll be there tomorrow.
Yeah.
You can get one. Right?
Yeah. So the
boosters.
booster regulation is right now.
I will.
You can get it.
If you're over 65, I believe you have access to it.
So you're good.
Or if you're if you
like Jethro Tull, you can get it.
This fucking twat bag over here, man.
So
Christ, you're about to get your ass whipped by a 65-year-old.
If you're high risk for basically being hospitalized, so I don't know how they determine.
Okay,
risk. I'm sure.
All right, I'm there.
I'm sure the high risk.
The
high risk revolves around having comorbidities.
Yeah, there might be one or two in my life. You know, there might be one.
Jay's middle name is Jay Comorbid.
And then the other factor is like how likely you, like if you work in a field like I do where you have high risk of being exposed.
Right.
So
and in my job, I'm not. I went back to work and told them like, hey, look, man, one of the things I'm worried about is I don't trust the guys around me.
Right.
And literally I don't
totally
because I don't know, I don't trust them. And so I work by myself all the time. And I'm outside all day in the sun.
Right.
Yeah.
So my vitamin D levels are fucking, I'm good.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
There's correlation to that they, right now it's still like, even though there's studies and there's been studies going on, for this whole time, still all that data, like everyone's like, oh, they lied to us about this. Hey man, it takes a minute to figure shit out.
Of course.
Like we know like 2 years is not a long time in the scheme of things for trying to figure out. There's still shit they're discovering every day. And part of the problem is people don't understand the way like science works when you do research. You can do research and it's like, this is what my studies show, but you didn't account for other factors, and other studies will like go against it. And so science is continuing to change. It's not because the truth is changing, it's what our perception of what the data means.
Yeah.
So people are like, this study just came out and then that's not true. They're just fucking lying to us. No, man, they're fucking doing their thing.
They're finding out new information.
Yeah, and they're adopting that new information and incorporating it. And so people just think that the media's lying and everything, but then the media also
is lying. They're also lying.
Sensationalizes a lot of stuff because that's their thing, man. That's the way.
It does go. It's so fucked up because there's things you can do. They could talk about health. They could talk about fucking vitamins. They could talk about all these things, treatments that actually help. You know what I mean? There's many treatments that are helping people beat COVID, but who has the fucking money? Pfizer, Moderna, fucking Johnson and Johnson.
Yeah.
They are actively pushing this narrative because even if there are generic fucking treatments for these things, they can't make money on them, dude. So,
my issue with the mandate one is that obviously it looks, like it's pushed for a payment, agenda. It's pharma.
I don't see how it's not, but
The mandate, though, to me, it's the slippery slope. You know what I mean? So the second that you're forced to, that they decide what has to go into your body, is that it's that much easier for the next thing.
I know that's what it is. It's the Patriot Act, right? You know what I mean?
And then what you were talking about is once the
Patriot Act,
they're never gonna step back.
They'll never give it back.
Once they get that,
it's never.
But we have to at a certain point in time. We have to. And across the board, I don't give a fuck what you say, Fox, CNN, Novax, Vax, whatever it is. We all need to go, stop. You guys need to just stop.
And there's some of that, dude. I mean, you saw with like In and Out recently said like, no, fuck this. Like,
right.
We're not doing it. And people will be like, oh, well, they're, a religious company. And it's like, but you know what? They're not fucking wrong on this. They don't need to force people. And the second you step, like,
and they're paying
that whole box thing, like, you check all the boxes, you're not on my team.
Right.
So like if you have someone who's, more left leaning, and they're like, I agree with them, then you're like, well, you're on the fucking wrong team now, man.
Yeah, totally, man. Yeah. If you're making your decisions off a red and a blue line, you're a real fucking idiot.
But every majority of us are not red or blue.
No, you're right.
The majority of us are in the middle. And the more people I talk to, the more, in taking out, like when I have a friend, I'm talking to them and they're like, man, dude, I have to leave my job site because they're saying I have to be vaccinated to be at this job site. Right. And I'm like, well, dude, just get vaccinated. It's not that big of a deal. He's like, no, man, I don't want people telling me. And I'm like, Yeah. Okay.
Well, that's a
I
big
understand
thing.
that.
Yeah.
I really do.
Yeah, you do.
That's,
but
that's
it's
a big
weird.
thing in my field right now.
It's happening a lot.
And
Yeah.
so there's, which I'm pretty upset with, because I have nurses that I want who they live their careers are based in science. They know stuff, as far as the way medicine works and all that.
Mhm.
And there's some of them who are still anti-vax. Now, I don't necessarily agree with it, but I do understand why they don't want to, because they're saying long-term studies haven't been done and this and that.
Mhm.
Most of that I can usually poke some holes in the
Right,
argument, but I'm like,
right.
whatever, at the end of the day, it doesn't matter how I feel about it. It matters how you feel with it. You shouldn't be forced to put something in your body
Yes.
if you don't want to.
Right.
But the problem with the healthcare field is that we have accepted this for some time. We have a bunch of other vaccinations that are mandated.
Yeah,
for healthcare.
flu shots every year.
Well,
all
the
that
flu
shit,
shot
right?
is one that's not mandated, right?
Oh,
But
okay.
but it's a more of a gray kind of hard line,
Mhm.
and that you have to get it, and if you don't get it, you have to wear a mask during flu
Right.
season.
Right.
So what do you think has gone down? A lot of people getting the fucking flu season shot because they have to wear a mask anyway. They're like, what the fuck? I don't, you know what I mean?
Yeah,
So
exactly.
but my issue is that for last couple years, you guys are heroes. You guys are so great. You guys are nurses and you're on the front line and you're doing all that. And then the second someone was like, you know what, I don't want to get the vaccine. All right, get fucked. Get another job. And nurses,
Right.
there's nurses who are being forced out of work. There's nurses that are being fired. And how do you get to sit there and call those people heroes one year and then turn your back on them the next?
Right.
They sat there and they went through it. Especially the ones who got COVID. I know a ton of nurses who got COVID.
Totally.
And
man.
if you have COVID
But
and
they're
you've already gone through
it's a hard line policy. They won't
no,
give you-
I get that. I
Yeah.
totally get that. But still go fuck off. Like if you look at the statistics, you look at the actual data, if you've already had it,
Mhm.
your immune system's better
It's
than
so
if you
good.
got the shot.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? It goes back to
People
like
talk
where
about
like
reacquiring COVID. There's not a lot of data supporting that. Now there is this phenomenon called long COVID, right?
Yeah.
So there's people who will test positive for months. There's people who, and these are usually really sick people who have had long COVID and they were stuck in the hospital, ICUs for months on end. I know people who had it. I had a club brother who lost literally 50% of his lung function, but he survived. But he had it for a fucking long time.
Right.
He was in there and it took a while. Now you're gonna tell me that guy who had that forever, he's got to, once he gets back to work, and if he decides not to get it because maybe whatever reason, but he has that immunity, that's not good enough, and he has to get fired on top of all the other hardship.
Right. Exactly. And see, there's no gray for it at all.
Because the people that make decisions like that don't give a fuck about the individuals, right?
No.
It's a because there's two kinds of people in this world. There's people who are like, hey man, live and let live, do whatever you want, fucking, more freedom, like don't fuck with me, I won't fuck with you, let you do what you think. And then there's people who are like, I believe this is the way the world is and everybody should agree with me and wants to enforce that on it.
Right.
Both good sides and bad sides of things, but those are the two kinds. People who are like, hey man, whatever, and the others are like, do it this way or else.
Yeah.
But I think that the people that are the hardest on the both sides are the minorities still. I think the people that are most of the people in the middle, which I think we're kind of all there, we're just like, let's just figure this out and I'll get along and make this happen so that we can just continue with our lives.
Yeah.
I want my bar to run. I want,
people would stop wearing masks tomorrow if they just said, hey, you can do it
if you're
whether you want to or
vaccinated,
not, but it's
even.
still dangerous. Fucking most people are like, fuck this thing and tear it off.
But the problem is too, those thin outliers are the ones that are making policy.
They're not.
They are. No, they are. I mean, most of us in the middle, we're fucking
you're
busy.
talking about
We're busy. We're fucking busy working. Our heads are down, heads in the sand. These fucking extremists on both sides making policy are the ones locking it down for the majority of the country that
was
literally sees gray on both sides.
Well, that was another thing too with it. Dude, I was so surprised like how this fucking recall election went, because I was like, California, like liberal motherfuckers that I know were like, fuck Newsom.
I know. Well,
they were like,
like
this guy's, I don't have a job anymore. I don't have this anymore.
Yeah, exactly.
And I was real surprised about that. But the thing is like, there's so many businesses that are put on, like the way you do a, when something infectious comes along, right? Quarantine is done where you quarantine the sick. You don't lock everybody down,
right?
Because it's counterproductive. When first lockdowns came in, they were like, you can't even go to like the beaches, right? And I was like, what the fuck? I did a motorcycle ride down PCH, and there was fucking CHP
literally
coning off like Magoo Rock and other places.
Yeah.
And I was like, that's fucking weird. And then I got further down PCH, and there was one little drag spot like down to the beach, and there was fucking hundreds of people totally this tight little compact space.
Exactly.
So it was counterproductive.
It always is, man. Yeah.
You told everybody, hey, you can't go hang out and socialize in public. They're like, all right, well, I guess we're doing backyard barbecues.
Fucking
now.
A, man.
You can't. So it was like the path to hell is paved with good intentions, right?
Right.
Fucking there you go. They meant to do that, but here's what happened.
But the real repercussions of what happened when you try to fucking control everyone's movements, they like just same thing when they shut down all the shit in LA, all the beaches. Everyone was up here. Our beaches were fucking packed. You know what I mean?
And it was silly because there was no science behind that. In fact, their decision increased the spread. There's no way that no way that it didn't, because if you're out in a public beach, how the fuck? First of all, what weirdo walks up at a beach and is like, hey man, there's 20 different yards everywhere. Let me 6 feet of you. Like, let me just post up right next to you. I'd be like, hey dog, what's going on? Like, get the fuck out of here. There's like
in this party.
Yeah, dude, why are you posting up so close to me?
Yeah.
Nobody does that. If you just let the beaches and like public parks alone,
right? Yeah,
it would have been so much
or even
better.
like just like you said, if they were to protect the ones that were at risk for major death, and I understand in the early days we didn't know what the fuck was going on.
Exactly.
And there's always these caveats. But if they focused on protecting the at-risk, the majority of the at-risk people, and let everyone else fucking wear the mask, do the thing.
Bro.
You know what I mean? I don't know that it would have spread as fast. You know what I mean?
And that's the thing too, is like, hey man, if you're at risk, if you're old, hey, Nana, you know what? Sorry, you can't come over for Christmas or whatever, because you should probably
sit your ass at home.
Yeah, you should probably stay home and be safe. That doesn't mean fucking lock up all the teenagers and not expect them to fucking just say fuck this and go do whatever.
Totally, man.
And then become essentially super spreaders. Thank you, sir.
Yeah. Yeah, I think there's just so many. I mean, there's so many ways. I think in 10 years we're gonna look back at this and go, yeah, huge mistakes. And the problem is
but it's now set a precedent too. So,
but it does set a precedent now. You know what I mean? And I have people that I work with that are absolutely against the vaccine and all that shit. Yeah. And I'm like, yeah, dude,
you're not getting chipped.
And their argument is always, it's always like, well, it was developed so fast and this and that.
Well,
but I'm like, look, dude,
the virus was developed too.
That too, but I said, if all you motherfuckers get a flu shot every year, and that gets developed every year.
It's existing science. And so for people who are fucking retarded and don't understand how a vaccine works, it's not a cure. It's not any of that. It is causes your system. Your body already works. It's called your immune system. So you got T cells, you have antibodies, you have all these things that component. Yeah. So you trick the body thinking, hey, you've had this virus. So now that's why you don't get other viruses the same one. And they're like, oh, the flu, it's different strains, dickhead. Yeah. So you don't get the same thing, over and over again. So you have this so it's just a trick. It's just tricking your body into thinking. So it's basic science. The only thing that was different is that it was using a non-actual, piece of the virus. They were using, the code of the virus.
Right.
That was different and that was new. That was the only really new aspect to it. This science has been around for fucking decades.
20 years. Yeah, dude,
for sure. It's been around. So, and then people are like, oh, it's New World Order, and they're putting chips in you.
That's when I'm like, okay,
hey man, if they're gonna fucking follow me, and I should know this at this point, it's your cell phone. You have
you're actively using it and paying for it.
No, not one of those people's giving up their cell phone.
Yeah,
not
exactly.
One of them, and it is definitely you follow me anytime you want. It's on my phone. Mm-hmm. Now it's on my watch. So it's definitely my GPS watch is getting followed whenever they want to.
Yeah, and I've heard people say like, well, they were doing this to like thin the population, and this is an attack. Not working. Hey man, did a lot of people die?
Yeah.
Yes, but in comparison to the rest of the population, fucking no.
Yeah,
it didn't make a ding at all in the growth of the human race on the planet. And the other aspect to it, there's so many better fucking things they could have done. Like they could have unleashed like MERS, which is the Middle East.
Right.
Yeah. That motherfucker was like 30-something%. Like you're dead.
Or H1N1, which was fucking way crazier.
Yeah, there's so many, like Mother Nature is so much better at killing you than
I know.
people are.
The population control is the best one because every asshole that tells me that,
oh, you're a fucking idiot.
I'm like, yeah, but you're still having kids.
Yeah.
So they fucking missed the wrong guy. Yeah, you're an idiot and you're still having kids. So what the fuck?
Yeah. Would a good attack on a nation or whatever? Would it be a random, Russian roulette aspect of who gets fucked up or is not? Or would it be a little bit more specific?
A little more specific.
What I mean? Like, so, there's all that stuff which is silly.
It's insane, man.
But I get why like people get paranoid, because you don't trust a lot of the systems anymore because they've been abused, media, all that stuff. So you just have to fucking weed through your shit and do a little bit of research. Like look at it, like for example, like you said, if you get the vaccine and you do get sick, nobody's fucking having, for the most part, I can't say nobody because there have still people who have died, but then you look at it and they're like 90 years old. Like that was like one of the first ones, first person to die who had the vaccine. And then you look at the stats and you're like, the motherfucker is 90 years old. Sorry,
he had 1 year left anyway. You know what I mean? Yeah, totally.
So there's that. It's just that's what's silly about a lot.
But it just terrifies me because it just sets another precedent and another thing that they can fucking chip away at you. Well, you know what I mean? And that's what really scares me. It's like I'm not anti-vaccine. I'm not any of that, but it is another fucking step.
Yeah, I forgot
another thing they can get you.
And I forgot what the amount of percentage of people who've been vaccinated is, but it's fucking high.
It's pretty high. We're really almost high. At like I think we're at like 50% of the country.
So the argument is, initially the initial argument for like lockdowns and stuff like that, and mask mandates and social, those social distancing, all that was to flatten the curve, right?
Right.
And that made sense. That it did, because we didn't want to be like other countries like Italy, being bombarded, where you saw that horrific footage of people just,
horrible, bro.
And there's places like that have happened here like that,
Yeah, but it all goes back to places where it's really poor people, where they're living in these environments.
Like New York got
super,
and it was, but there was
so you're still talking about somebody. If it's not poor, but it's somebody that where you're paying this much money to have an apartment in an apartment complex.
Super
all of a sudden,
But there was another aspect to that. It's like something like 5, I think, major hospitals had to be closed in there. So there was just more people than there was resources.
Right.
That's what it came down to.
Right.
Where I work, we never came up to that. Dude, we cleared out floors. We cleared out entire units, stopped elective surgeries, and open up, and we're like ready for the fucking wave. For us, it didn't come until later. But then we also kept it fluid. They did a really good job. I can't give enough credit to the place that I work as far as like their administration being open and willing to lose money to make sure they were ready for the consequences of not being prepared.
Right.
So along with that, and then it's not something I very talk about much, and we've kind of touched on it. I lost my wife in April of last year, so like the shutdown came along, and my wife and I went shopping because we were locking down, and all of a sudden she ended up in the hospital, and then within 4 days she was gone. And a big part of what happened was everybody wasn't willing to deal with what was going on. So she wasn't getting the care she was needed. Like they just pretty much just kind of just did this, like just ignored her and didn't do the work that it took. Like she had stuff that could have been taken care of. And had she been able to have somebody there with her, if I could have been there with her and talked her through stuff and worked with her on stuff, but we were in this, and I don't hold too much resentment, but it's still, it's because I don't hold the resentment, because I realize like we were in the fucking beginning of something that nobody knew what to deal with. And literally we still, we have scientists that are telling us what we should be doing and what's right. And this is the real, and you don't hear them. You hear everybody else. You don't hear the real people going, like, this is what, like, you take the vaccine and then it's like it just drops off right after you start taking it. It's like within like it's 6-7 months, the vaccine's almost pointless. Like it just the effectiveness of it is gone.
So
rapidly.
The antibodies drop quickly. They also forget things like T cells. Like antibodies aren't the sole component to it, but but I don't know that we've ever, like I said, this isn't necessarily my specialty of what I work in, but I don't know that there's even been studies done on that because it's still so new. And so either way, it did cause this problem of getting the gist of what you just said, is that the medical system was overrun and when you're overrun, that's what the whole flattening the curve was, is that it wasn't just people weren't just casualties of COVID. People were casualties of the resources being stretched out and not being able to deal with it, because
everybody being scared.
Yeah,
everybody
and
not
there was
knowing
other
what's
really
going on
horrific
and being
things that
scared.
happened. We weren't, we only recently have started letting visitors back in. Before, it was fucking no. And that was a really shitty thing.
It goes back to that isolation conversation we were having.
But
earlier,
there were people, and this is like when people sit there and like, there's some people out there who sit there like COVID wasn't real. It's all blah blah blah. Hey man, go fuck yourself, because there was people who sat there and died in my hospital,
dude,
with no family members there to sit there and hold their hand, and it was just nurses right there with this person. And that's why they're burned out. There was nurses who sat there, and every day they saw their patients die all day, every day. Mm-hmm. And even if they weren't a COVID patient, there was people who were dying because the resources were maxed out, and they didn't have and there was. It's still, there's so much extra work now in the health.
Oh, I bet.
Because of all the extra precautions you have to take. There's all this stuff that goes along with it. The medical field is already kind of like fucking like got a lot of redundancy systems and kind of overzealousness from like departments that are like QI, or infection control.
Sure.
But they're also not wrong, so there's just like stuff that you have to be safe about. And this added like so many other levels to it, and it detracts from the other stuff that they could be focusing on, and it sucks.
Which is helping people.
Yeah, it really does suck. And then there at this point now, though, there's so many less numbers, but there's still policies in places, a lot of places where it's still, that difficulty is still there.
Mm-hmm.
And so it's like, hey man, you got to fucking pull back on that, because it's affecting people who can't come in to go and see their cardiologist. It's affecting people being able to give birth with their family members there. There's other things in play. And in no means am I downplaying that COVID is like a wild animal. You should respect it, but you also don't need to fear it. You know what I mean? Right. That's the way I look at it. Like, you respect it,
unless you're about to get gorilla fucked by a silverback.
Dude,
there's a silverback grabbing you by your ears, about ready to ramrod.
Is that a threat?
But it is. You got to treat it like it's the real deal, and it could go sideways. And I'm pretty sure that I had it early on, before, because and everybody says everybody had it. I'm like, look at man, we took care of a guy from China who came from Wuhan before it got to the United States, and my whole unit I was sick as shit for a month.
Were you really? Yeah,
dude. I still feel like, and I don't know if it's just psychosomatic, but I still feel like I don't breathe as good since then.
Right? Yeah,
dude, it's probably not. It's probably real.
Yeah, and so
you know what I mean, like that. That's
like, I get more winded now
shit
than I would before, and I was like, God damn.
Yeah,
and I've noticed it when I've had to sit there and wrestling fucking violent patients. And I was like, and the first real time was my mask. I'm like, fucking can't breathe. And my supervisor saw it. She's like, can I help you? I was like, take this fucking mask off my face right now. I'm fighting this guy who's trying to like kill people.
Yeah, man.
She takes it off, and then he was able to deal with it. And I was like, fuck man, I got winded as fast as shit on that. And that was like a couple months right after I had been real sick. All the other nurses, and one of the nurses who got real sick also, like I said, this kid came from, he was a college student from China that was learning over here. He had just come back from the Wuhan province. And but we were like, it's not here yet,
he didn't know.
But then later on, news came out that it had been here sooner.
Oh yeah.
So I probably had it. I don't know. I can't make the claim.
Yeah, no one knows. So we all think we had it.
So it is lab related then?
Oh, it fucking has to be, dude.
There's no
way that it.
They have admitted that that stuff was worked on in a lab.
Yeah, the workers that got sick from there, the guy's wife died of COVID.
Yeah, you know what I mean? The argument they're making is that they're fighting over semantics of terminology
of what is gain of function. The definition,
all right, dickhead, but we know it came out of the lab, and you did this shit by the basic understanding. Was it like that normally? Could it get people sick before? No. Okay, fuck you. Then you did.
Then you did something to it.
Yeah. I'm not saying. And I'm not saying one way or the other. Should we?
So should we then discuss the fact that China years ago has been like, we can't fuck with these guys physically, so let's fuck with them on the outside.
Well, they fucked themselves. I mean, that's the thing.
Well, you know
like,
what? They didn't get
hit
as hard. But you know what? They also had like
they were also locking motherfuckers in their houses.
And you can do that when I mean, they were.
That's what happens when you got China, dude.
Disinfect. They like were coating buildings
Right.
in
just
disinfectant.
running around with simple.
They were-
green.
Oh, dude, you were barricaded
everybody.
in your own house. Like
Yeah.
you could not
Yeah,
leave.
man.
They were killing motherfuckers.
Hong Kong
in
had
the
like
street.
Hong Kong, I believe they had like a small outbreak, and it was like just in one neighborhood, and they fucking shut that bitch down
Mhm.
and didn't let it out. And you know, I mean, I guess that's the pro argument you can make for a fucking socialist kind of
I guess,
and a lot of organization and do what the fuck we want. Like, you know,
100%.
you can't have some dude going out there. I don't fucking believe in this.
Yeah, they're all shut up,
Pop in the back.
motherfucker.
Shut up, fucker.
Yeah. Hey, how do you feel about
Going
it
in
now?
the Wuhan
I think
River.
maybe
dude.
do you disagree too?
Yeah.
Nope,
Yeah,
don't
no.
disagree at all, man.
We're good.
Yeah, but it is fucking crazy. Do you see this ending? Do you see this shit
No,
getting
no,
done?
no, honestly,
ever?
like they're gonna lighten up on like mask mandates, things like that. I think. I don't know if I will in the medical field. I have a hard time seeing when that's gonna fucking end.
Right.
Because like you said, once you and also so you know a lot of like people who work with viruses, people who talk about infectious disease, they talk about like this. There was like a documentary that came out like before COVID, and it was just talking about all stuff. I think it was called Pandemic.
Yes.
And,
Yeah.
Totally.
but they talk about like this is how the fucking world ends. Well, yeah, that's the way the world ends from your eyes, because that's what you're fucking into.
Right.
That's what your world revolves around, right? People who are fucking speculating in like things like investments and things, they're like, oh, it's economic, right? Like whatever you're into, that's
whatever your
that's
thing is. Yeah.
the vehicle, right? And it's not to say that it shouldn't be respected, but like infection control ones, like they're I swear to God, I feel like some of the infection control people that are at my place are just like jerking off to this at night. Like,
Oh yeah,
there's what
they're
new
like
policy
D&D
can we
nerds
fucking
right now.
just
dude.
they're
Yeah.
fucking loving this
Yeah.
because it's their jam. That's what they work in. That's what's interesting to them.
Yeah.
So
But it's also like listening to the stuff and reading the stuff that I listen to, and I listen to a lot of books on tape and stuff. When I say listening to, when you look at all what they've talked about over the years, is like we knew this was coming in one form or another. Like we knew that at some point in time,
Pandemics
we're
happen.
going to have some sort of pandemic.
Yeah.
And what level of control are we going to be able to do this at? And now politicians are like, they're foaming at the mouth, giving them a reason to just fucking stand up and get on their pedestal. But the bottom line is like, this ain't that bad. Like when you look at what else could happen and quite possibly will happen.
Yeah.
Like this isn't that bad.
This could have been so much worse if this had been like, for instance, and the reason that this was scary to people was one, there was the Russian roulette aspect to it, but one, it was the how infectious, how contagious this was. That was a big component, right? So like MERS was terrifying. It fucking was killing people at a much higher rate.
Right.
Yeah.
That motherfucker was a roll of dice. It
Right.
wasn't like a little percentage here. Like you're probably gonna be good, but maybe not.
You're probably
This
gonna
was
die.
like fucking like, I don't know.
Yeah.
That if that had been made more contagious,
Right.
there's
And it
the other
probably
viruses,
is. I'm sure there's a fucking lab with that shit in there.
I'm sure there's
dude.
one in there that like
Yeah.
there's stuff that they work on. I'm sure that is way more dangerous. But there's different factors too, like lethality, the mortality rate of something,
Right.
versus how contagious it is. Like why, like we always hear about Ebola. That's fucked up, right?
Yeah.
But Ebola's not fucking spreading all over the globe like crazy, you know what I
Right.
mean?
Because you have
So-
to be actively touching the fucking
yeah,
the
there's
matter
different
coming out of the
components to
body.
it. This
Yeah.
got scary because it was crazy and contagious. It was part of something that mutates and
Mhm.
changes. That now everybody's freaking out about Delta,
Mhm.
which I have a brother, that got Delta, and boy, that was fucking rough for him.
Yeah, so
He
I
lost
got
30
a
pounds.
I got a buddy that fucking got COVID, didn't fuck him up that bad, got Delta,
Yeah.
fucking hospital for 9 days straight,
Yeah.
dude. Fucking
my brother
annihilated
probably
him.
should have gone. He lost 30 pounds.
Damn.
He was puking and shitting his brains out like no tomorrow.
It's
Now
crazy.
now COVID, the other strains, there wasn't really a GI
No.
component to it. People weren't getting nauseous and shitting their brains out. So when he said he got that, I was like, oh, that's weird. He's like, yeah, I tested positive for COVID. I was like, oh shit.
No worries. My phone did it.
I thought, there's no way that this is COVID, and then like the Delta information was coming out, and it was like, yeah, there's a bunch of like
It's basically a terrible stomach flu
Yeah,
on top of
fucking
everything
on top
else.
of it, yeah, and it
It's
was like-
crazy, man.
so the Pandora's box is open and you can't close it.
Right.
This is here
You
to
think
stay.
it's here to stay? I mean, as far as like in medical field,
COVID-19 is here to stay. who knows about the policies, but I don't
so
see
it's chicken pox.
Yeah.
Like it is something that we just have to learn to deal with and
just
understand.
manage
And
it.
this, I think as we go along and we start dealing with herd immunity and we start dealing with more people getting it, that we'll all build up our immunity.
Well, we're right now, we're, at least from what I'm seeing, and I can't, I obviously don't work across country and I don't follow all statistics from every state. The area I work with, it's manageable for us right now.
Totally.
Yeah.
It's totally manageable.
I was looking at the numbers for
places,
Ventura County just yesterday, and it was like, what was it, like 75 new cases or something in all of Ventura County? You know what I mean?
Yeah,
like,
which is nothing. And that's nothing because you
know?
think about how many thousands of people live here, right? And then on top of it, how many of those cases were needing to be hospitalized.
Right.
Now, I can tell you up in Santa Barbara County, the numbers are even less.
Right.
Obviously, it's a lower population, right?
Yeah, rich
but
people.
percentage wise,
rich
rich
white
people got all
people,
this shit,
rich white people.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But percentages wise, and that's where the number, like people, unfortunately, that's where like a lot of the angles have been thrown for like media stuff is, they talk about like just straight numbers. They don't talk about percentages because that's a big factor. If you have, a population that is like, 7 times the size it used to be, decades ago, of course, the number is going to be higher with something like that. It's not going to be, the same,
Right.
But if you say the percentages, only like 2% of people who got this, like, that's not fucking that bad.
That's
right?
not that bad.
But
2% of 2 million, though. You're like,
but it's still something like, if I had gotten it, knowing everything at the time, during where it was like, really scary and everybody's freaking out about it. Hey man, there'd have been a few days where I'm like, oh, fuck, I hope I don't die.
Right.
And that's a scary thing to go through.
It is scary. Yeah.
So that's reasonable for people to be fearful of it.
Yeah.
Now, since I've seen people, I've known people who've gotten it, I've seen it firsthand. I'm like, hey man, you're probably gonna be all right.
Right. Yeah. Yeah.
But when it first came out, I'd be like, oh, fuck, it works out, chief.
But I just think it's gonna be a fucking years of people mentally recovering from the shutdown itself.
Well, that's the biggest
and
thing too.
That's where I'm like fucking. I'm really interested as a social question, like what the fuck, what's going to happen to people's psyche over this next fucking year.
And the erosion of, like, not only is it going to be like the economic rebound factor, because we haven't really seen that yet. I think there was a few months ago, there was a article that came out, and it was like 60% of the businesses that closed during COVID on Yelp are closed permanently now.
Totally, dude.
60%.
Yeah, but it
that's a huge banger.
As somebody that bought a bar in the middle of
COVID.
There was some people that took advantage of it.
Yeah. And you look around and there's a lot of businesses that took advantage of
a lot of opportunity
and had a chance to rebuild their bar and do better stuff. And it's just a matter of like what your mindset is and what you're willing to do.
Yeah.
I mean, like we see all these people that are out here right now and they're like, well, we can't get anybody work for us. These people are tired of getting paid nothing.
Right.
Yeah. And you guys want us to come and work for nothing.
Bunch of
and so now
factors.
they're like, wait a minute. And they start seeing like,
yeah,
you guys have been treating us like shit.
Yeah. Well, I think it is a good thing. They're calling it the Great Resignation, right? Where people literally like are, I think for the first time in a long time, questioning their place in this world, what they want to do, what they want to fucking focus on, and what they're willing to do for the money. You know what I mean? And I think a lot of these people are starting to realize, like, I fucking hate my job. Now that I got to work from home for a year and I have to go back and stare at this piece of shit for fucking $15 an hour.
Dude, I'm gonna go back to Wendy's.
Exactly. Certain things where it's definitely advanced, right? Like fucking, if you were working in like telecommunications, video conferencing, all that kind of software, your shit's fucking skyrocketing. There's a massive.
I should have bought stock in Zoom, baby.
Zoom? Are you kidding me?
I work at the Port of Wainini.
Yeah.
So I work at the port, and we're booming.
Yeah.
We are doing fine.
You
know what I mean?
Yeah, because you guys got a shit ton of and that like the cost of wood right now.
Totally, dude.
Because so production didn't stop. It stopped, right? So we drown all the surplus and stuff. So now like everything, like, dude, if you had like stock in some sort of like lumber mill right now,
dude,
fucking bank right
now.
Yeah, it's a trip, but I think people really are asking themselves a question for the first time in their lives, like, do I want to fucking do this anymore? And I think that's kind of cool because
food trucks are up. Like,
totally. People are taking chances on themselves
to the times.
Right.
Hey, this is an area where, like if you were someone who was like a line cook in a kitchen or whatever that was shut down, And they've always been talking about like one day I want to open a food truck, right? Well, now that was the time to do it. And it was a perfect example of when to do it. Stopped working and became his own boss. There's a lot of that going around. It just depends, like and that's always across like society as general is like, not everybody gets to be the business that lasts, fucking as Blockbuster,
right?
You know what I mean?
Yeah,
like
exactly.
eventually the times.
If you would have talked to Blockbuster 15 years before they closed down, they'd be like, "Bitch, we're here forever."
Exactly.
It's like,
So
like,
he conforms to the times, and but in general, the biggest thing is that it was the workers who were affected who thought that they were solid,
right.
So there's going to be part of that, but I'm sure people are bouncing back.
Hopefully, and it's what I keep seriously hoping is in looking at, like, you can't get steel, you can't get this, you can't get that, you can't get this, because we're also dependent on China and other countries. Like maybe hopefully, and we're starting to see it, is like we're starting to see people are making products themselves. So
we need to be responsible for our own manufacturing.
We've got, I've got a friend that he's got a sewing business, and what he does is sew stuff. Isaac, he's out there, he's at these art shows, he's out doing this stuff, he's making custom sewn stuff where he sits there on his little sewing machine and does these things. So hopefully we start to get to where all these people are like, I can make a knife, I can build a kiln. The kiln's not hard to build. I can do this, I can do that,
right?
You know what I mean? And maybe at some point in time, somewhere within the United States, we can get somebody, hey, maybe we should build another foundry where we can make metal and not have to depend on China for our fucking steel, you know? So maybe these companies that all recycle their shit and send it to China can instead send it to Pennsylvania or like.
But are the CEOs going to fucking take a loss on their profit?
It's not about the CEOs anymore. It comes back to somebody that's like a go-getter human being that's going like, let me take this foundry, figure out how to make it work and go up. I'm not the guy.
No, of
but
course.
If there is, there's the opportunity now.
A lot of times, like, this is why, like, example, people, where do you buy most of your goods? You know what I mean? And this was another reason why, like, some of those COVID policies were fucking whack. Like, you could have Target and Walmart open.
Oh yeah.
But if you had a small shop, they just fucking threw you under.
Yeah.
Tattoo shops. That was another.
And that was like what are
ridiculous.
you doing? Because that doesn't make any sense, and it's clear. And so there was a certain point where it's like people needed to call kind of bullshit on some of this. But in general, we're kind of an apathetic fucking culture. And
we don't suffer for shit.
If I'm not the one who's getting fucked over and I could still get my toilet paper or whatever, I'm good, right?
And
that's how most people feel.
And it's not getting better.
It's shit. If you had friends during this who had businesses, and that's just my like, because I come from the motorcycle culture, so we're kind of like, if you have friends or brothers, it's like if they have a business, that's who you go to. And you don't go there because you're like, oh, they're gonna hook me with a discount. You go there because you support your own, support small business, support the community, and fuck those big chains. You know what I mean? Like, sometimes I have to pay, more, or, usually not, but like on general stuff, sometimes you do, But I also am supporting, the people that are in my community.
You're directly supporting someone's livelihood.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
And also,
it makes a big fucking difference.
And honestly, like, because people are fucking in general, penny smart, dollar stupid. They might be saving some money right there, but at the end of the day, like, you get better products usually from small, business.
Of course, man.
Oh yeah.
So you're gonna buy your cheap shit that's produced in Taiwan, or you're gonna go to your buddy who does that. Sure, it must be more expensive, but you get a better quality product.
Yeah, man.
Yeah.
Jesus Christ.
It's finding people that'll make the product though.
Yeah, I think it's happening more and more. I think people are really starting to realize it.
And hopefully they do.
Well, people are taking more advantage of things like Etsy and these other shops, like making their own products. And I always I'm stoked when I ever see that. I have a buddy of mine who started his own clothing company during this, for like motorcycle kind of oriented, like clothing, culture, t-shirts. It's like if it's not like a club shirt that I'm wearing or something like that, it's I buy stuff from him.
Right. Yeah, totally.
T-shirts or band shirts, whatever.
Yeah, there you go. Yeah. Well, hey man, I really appreciate you coming on the pod, dude. I think we just did like almost 2 fucking hours.
All right.
Not bad. What is it, hour and a half? Yeah, pretty close. So yeah. Anyway, it was a pleasure, man. I really appreciate it, dude. Jay, thank you as well.
No, I'm here. Garage Bar, East End Ventura, 1091 Scandia Avenue. Halloween party this Saturday. DJ also. And if you guys put enough money out there, I'll probably get naked.
Hey,
so you guys can look forward to that. it's probably going to happen. Whether you give me money or not, I'll probably get naked.
I feel like you're
Just show up.
Just show up. You want to see Jay's dick? Go ahead and show up to the garage.
Somebody's got to. I ain't seen that
It's on the-
motherfucker in years.
on 30th
bro.
and the
I
30th?
ain't seen that shit in a long goddamn time.
Yeah.
I got to slap not only my belly to the side, I got to wrestle a hernia. I got like 4 different things going on trying to see my dick.
Beautiful. Man.
Oh,
All right.
It's a pleasure.
Go ahead and give it a like. What are we doing here? Like, subscribe, rate, comment, review, all that shit. Check out the merch, localshop.net/Get Heavy Podcast. Thanks for tuning in. Love you guys. Bye.
Amen.